the test series, the selector did say, the chief selector, Roger Harper, said that all players are available, and that would mean that Darren Bravo, Shimon Hetmai, and Kimo Paul would be available for the test aspect of that series. Whether or not they're accepting invitation to tour is another story. But if those 3 players are in, which means that you'd have to make some changes to that test squad that went to England, the 15-man squad. And of course, the reserve list of 10 that went to England would be chopped to 5, so some changes would have to be made. Based on what took place in England, Akeem, West Indies losing that series 1-2. If those 3 players come back, how do you see them fitting into that 15-man squad?
Basically, I think Rifo would be a fall guy here, and Nkrumah Bonner and Shea Hope. I think those 3 would be the automatic fall guys for those 3 players. I would be on the assumption that, given that Mr. Harper was stated that they were in line for the test squad, that they would come I guess, swap for those 3 players into the 15-man squad. That is basically, I know for some reason John Campbell gets another life.
Yeah.
It could be a case where both Shea Hope and John Campbell are dropped. Let's be honest, both 16, 17 average in that series. Neither have been in any prolific form for the longest period of time. It could be a case where the selectors take a decision to ask both and bring in fresh faces to partner someone fresh with Craig Barfoot. So that could mean that Shane Mosley could actually be in line for that opening position, or I guess the favor talk from a lot of the pundits around the fraternity is giving Josh De Silva that option. So it's a toss-up that even 4 persons out of that squad could be out, and there's a fresh face coming into the 50-man squad. There is a team tour as well, so that would give a bit of a luxury in terms of, even if the likes of John Campbell and Shea Hope are dropped, they could be placed in the A-team squad, to just as a moral booster and be able to, at least, you're playing cricket ahead of future tours.
Yeah, and there's a possibility that all those players that went to England because of the 18 tour could be heading to New Zealand as well. I like the idea of Joshua De Silva. He made runs in England in those practice matches, so that is an option for West Indies going forward. But 2 test matches, 3 T20s. West Indies playing New Zealand is always a tough place for West Indies to tour. They have not done well in New Zealand. How do you see them going, finally, Akeem, in this series, playing the New Zealand's, the Black Caps at home?
Look, based on all the information that have been put out about the tour, it's going to be less under control as they were, less confinement as they were in England. So they spent 2 weeks in quarantine, and then they're free to, quote unquote, roam. They're free to do what, enjoy themselves as in previous series. Obviously, there's going to still be some restrictions, but they don't have that full lockdown that they would have been endured in England, where they complained about. It's a shorter series as well. So I'm thinking that they could do far better than they did in England. They could come away, at least I'm giving them the T20 series. Let's don't talk about that. West Indies should win this series. Yes, history shows that they have been poor in New Zealand, and they're actually 9th in New Zealand or 6th in the rankings. They've only won 1 from 8 in New Zealand, but I believe if you go with a full strength West Indies team to New Zealand right now, given the fact that full strength team would have been playing in the CPL and then in the IPL, they have good enough match practice and they could defeat New Zealand in that T20 series. The test series, however, is the more complicated part. I believe that they can come away with a good with a series victory, or at least a 1-all draw. They can win a match in New Zealand. I believe that based on how they started in the England series, it shows good promise. But I guess as the players stated, after the confinement and everything got to their head, and they just really lost it. But they're gonna have to bat well. I think at the end of the day, we could talk here, Avinash, and say all we want about them and which players should come in and not. But if West Indies don't bat well, they're not going to win the series. They have to find ways of putting up 600 runs in the test, 300 runs either 8 innings. And if they can't do that, they're not going to win. That is simple. If they can't produce runs, if persons aren't going to be scoring centuries, they're not going to win any test match in New Zealand.
Yeah, and they have to be consistent. They have been winning test matches, but not been able to close out series. So that is important going forward. They need to win the crucial moments and, of course, bat well. That has been the West Indies bugbear over the last couple of years. Thank you for your thoughts, Akeem. We'll await the selectors who would produce those squads for New Zealand later this week.